Good morning and welcome to Thrive, Not Just Survive. Today's episode is going to be a really not just interesting, but a useful one because I have my guest, Sharon Filmore. She is actually an NLP practitioner that I met a few years ago on our author journey, and she was here last week on Thursday. So Sharon's going to be a stand-in guest for every Thursday. So if this is something that you're really interested in terms of how to, get this control of your mindset, I think this will be very, very helpful. So today we're going to be talking about relationships, and this time in quarantine is allowing us to explore this because we are sharing our space more so with our family within our spaces for longer periods of time. So I wanted to bring Sharon on because I wanted her to guide us through how do we cope, what are the strategies, and she can share some insights from her perspective in terms of the teachings that she does with her clients. So let me bring Sharon on so we can get started. Hi, Sharon.
Hello, how are you today?
I am excellent. How are you?
I'm excellent as well.
Good, good. Well, thank you for coming. I know it's an early morning start, but I was really wanting to talk about relationships with you because of where we are at now in our quarantine side or retreat, as I call it, how you can help. Now, I know we talked about sort of starting today with a meditation before we actually go into the content. So I'm going to just stop for a minute. I'm getting an error message here. So I'm just going to see if we're actually on live. Okay. Okay. So it's working. All right. So can we start out with that meditation and just to clear our spaces, and then we're able to maybe take in the information a little bit easier.
All right. So let's start today. This is sort of like a nice calming so that you can find a nice, peaceful, happy place. So what I'd like you to do is relax with your feet on the floor and your hands relaxed on your thighs, and close your eyes. Be sure you're in a place where you can continue to do this relaxation. So I want you to pause for a moment and relax your body. As it sinks deeper into the chair, as you relax your body, it will feel heavier and very still. Think of a place you find very beautiful. The place you have chosen is very quiet. It's all yours. There is no one else aware of your place. No one expects anything from you. Allow yourself to quietly sit here. Allow yourself to almost smile. This place in your mind is your place. While still picturing your beautiful place, begin to be aware of your breath. You're breathing in and out, in and out. With each inhalation, you start to breathe more slowly. And with each exhalation, you breathe a little bit longer. So your breaths go in and out. Keep the picture of your beautiful place in your mind. Relax more deeply and still be aware of your breathing. Begin to walk into the place that you have pictured. Walk until you come along a place that you'd like to stop and sit down. Imagine yourself sitting in this place of beauty. Begin to notice the area around you. What does the place look like? How does it feel? Is it warm or cool? What colors do you see? It is this that makes your place so lovely. Each detail you add to the picture of beauty in your mind, you are part of this beauty. Sit still, feel the peace. Be part of the beauty. Allow your mind to think how right it is to be there, around so much beauty and peace in your world. And you fit into this picture that you have created in your mind. With each breath, relax deeper into the scene with you in it. Feel the calm serenity. When you know it's time to leave this place, begin to rise and walk back. Allow your breathing to bring you back. Gently take a few deep breaths. Pause a moment. Remember the last time that you can remember at last you can return to this moment anytime you want. It may be for a moment, but it will remind you of the sense of peace that is yours. Anytime during the day, remember how good it felt during your meditation, and you will begin to automatically be able to feel that body-mind sense of peace. You will touch it with your mind whenever you need to. Open your eyes. You're ready for the day.
Thank you. That was so beautiful.
I thought that would be a nice one because during these times we all have times when we want a little bit of peace, and in our lives can be so chaotic with everything going on and all of the news coming at us constantly and it constantly changing. I thought, let's find a place that's just ours, a place to go and sit.
And I think that's a great way to start, because the day can get chaotic with, in our space, we have children, we have moms that are homeschooling, we have moms and dads working from home. So I think because there's such a different vibe in the home place, right? That I think if we can start with this calmness before, or, as we start our day, I think we can create a space that we can continue with that vibration or that frequency, even though our home space has changed. So, I know we talked about wanting to sort of touch on this about relationships, and I wanted to sort of get your guidance, strategies, what you can recommend, because people are home and they are looking for strategies of how to cope with this time.
It's an unusual time, and a lot of things that are going on are really unprecedented in our time period. So there's different things, aspects to look at. There's like the aspect of multiple people in the home on top of each other constantly. So there's things to look at there. I think one of the most important things is being respectful of people's boundaries. And knowing the people in the house as to what it is they need. Maybe there's someone who needs some alone time, so they need a space that's just theirs for an hour a day or whatever it takes for them to have that. Other people need to be constantly busy. It's and then of course you come into the age of the people living in your home. So if you have younger children, they're going to require more attention, you would think, than older children. However, that's not always exactly true. Just things that I keep in mind. Be mindful of how you speak to people. Things like saying terms like always saying can't, or negative words that can then can develop sort of into a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
To avoid, and those are things like can't, won't, but is the big one, right?
So I guess that's more, so you're talking about, in terms of relationship, we're really touching on communication, right? Because that's what's going to shape how that relationship is going to be day to day, right? So if you're, like you're saying, not using the words like the nots and the can'ts and the buts and the shouldn'ts, and because that's going to then depict how that relationship, even during that day, is going to be evolving.
That's right.
Right.
And sort of relationship is sort of like code for communication.
Right. Right.
Because when you communicate with your whole body, not just your words.
Right.
Every part of your nuances help you to, to communicate with one another. Like they say that 96% or sort of 93% of your communication is tone and body language.
Right.
And the rest of it, the only 7% is words. So your body what it is your body doesn't lie. Your body can't lie. And so what happens is we're so sensitive, and we see so much that we don't even realize we see, that the words are important. The rest of your body must be congruent. Your tone, how your body moves, your eye movements, all those things for us to know. So a friend of mine, James McNeil, used to say that your words are important, and the rest is lie detection.
That's a really good way of remembering, right? So that, and I think this is what brings us to like that whole awareness piece, right? That conscious awareness of not just our words, but our body language, our tone, our eyes, like in terms of eye contact. And so I think in as we're spending more time with our families, our children, and also I think that, a lot of us business owners, entrepreneurs are doing a lot of online meetings, and, there's still an energy exchange that's happening, right? Even through a screen. I think we need to be mindful of how we're coming across, because you can still read that whatever it is, like the eye movement or the tone. So I think it's being conscious of it and being aware. So what would you say, like, do you have a couple of tips that could really, like, even if we're sort of going down a slippery slope, maybe on a certain day, because it's just one of those days, of how to just maybe bounce back a little bit faster or catching it?
All right. There's a number of things you can do before you go into a conversation. Ground yourself, like the grounding exercise that we did last week. Yeah. That's really good going into when you're going into any sort of meeting, doing something like that beforehand, because it helps you become more aware and learn to be more present. It's sort of going into the meeting. And when a person is present, then they're aware of what the words are coming at them, and their mind will automatically bring out the words that they need, and they'll be able to relay them. And you're also then coming from your heart. You're not coming from your mind, because when you're coming from your mind, you're trying to process the words. And when you're coming from your heart, it's really a place of love and even though it might sound sort of funny because it's strangers, you still want to come from your heart. Yes. Because when you come from your heart, they know who you are without you trying to explain it.
Right. And I think, it's like this, where a long time ago, somebody had said to me, when I used to, as a brand new realtor, and they were training us to do cold calling. And I remember my broker saying, pick up the phone and smile first, start out with a smile. And I think that changes everything just by doing that one thing. So even whether we're at home or in meetings, is just if you start out with a smile, I find it softens everything. You can get into that heart space.
It's true. And the thing is, a smile changes everything. So if you think about it, if you smile, it changes your body language, and it makes your body language more positive. So it's important. Smiling is very important. It also takes a lot of muscles to smile. So
Right.
It's really good. Think of it
as, I think it draws people in, right? Like they're more interested in leaning forward to hear what you're saying, or for you to be a little bit more approachable, right? Because sometimes we come across as, very blank faced, I think it gives an energy off to people that, oh, perhaps, it's not a good idea maybe to ask a question, or even if you're dealing with children at home, they may feel that, what, maybe mommy's in a bad mood or just not having a good day, and I can't really approach. So I think we really have to be cognizant of how we are approaching all of this.
All of it, because especially children, they pick up even more so on things because they don't miss anything. And if you change, I'll just tell you an example. When my children were hitting their teens, we moved into a new house, and the house was much larger than the one we had before. And so I found that when they were upstairs, I had to yell. And for the first few weeks, whenever I yelled, they wouldn't come downstairs. And so I would go up, but finally I went up and I said, how come you guys never come downstairs when I'm calling for you to come downstairs? They go, well, we think you're mad at us.
Oh, wow.
Because we lived in quite a small house, and I hardly ever had to raise my voice and everyone could hear me.
Right.
And so it changes. And it was just raising my voice because it wasn't something that they were accustomed to, but it also changes your tone.
Right.
And when your tone changes, then a lot of your mind starts to process all these things, and you process according to your experience.
Right. I was just going to say that it's based on your experience, because in terms of the yelling, it's also a perception, right? That the tone of the voice will say a perception is that she's angry, whereas it's just like you're just trying to get your voice across the 2 floors to make sure they hear you. So it's different in people's perception of how that tone is being received. So I think in terms of now that we're, forced to be in quarantine and in our own quarters, whether it be a small house, a big house, an apartment, it doesn't matter. It's just about being aware of how the other person is receiving this information, because you may not have an intention of anything else, but it's really the other person's perception of that. So I think we have to be really aware, right? If there's tensions building, is to kind of go inward and say, what is it about my tone that might be bringing this out?
Exactly, about your tone and about how you're presenting things.
Yeah.
The other thing that happens right now is it's easy for nerves to get a little frazzled, or even a lot frazzled, actually, for that matter, because there's so many things happening. And especially right now, many companies right now that have been supporting their employees are now reducing their income, because this has been going on so long. And that creates an additional stress, not only the isolation of being home all the time. There's the additional financial stress. And if you were one of the people who lost your job initially, you're just now getting some income from the government, and it's likely not enough, right?
Yeah. And that, again, like you said, there's so many different stress factors. It's not just the isolation. It's financial, it's emotional, it's homeschooling. Like for a lot of the moms that I've been talking to, they're like, I'm not trained to do this. And yet some of them are homeschooling and still working because they're required to by their job to be, working from home. So it's this balancing act, right, of physical time, emotional time, there's a lot going on. And so I think it's like having some strategies and techniques to be a little bit more aware of how can you serve yourself, fill yourself up in terms of your cup so that you are able to expend that energy onto your family and others that need you. And I think that's really key. And yesterday I was talking to a client, and she mentioned, she just had a day where she broke down. It just was her stress level was so high that she couldn't produce, and it was making her feel even worse. Because now she was in tears. She felt like she was losing control, and then yet she had felt like I have to be better, or I have to pretend to be better. And I, had to walk her through this, because it's okay not to be okay. It
is definitely, and it's especially right now. If you're not okay, reach out. Don't hold it in.
Right. And this is where, we have these check-in points, and we have friends and community, or, whether you have a coach or a really close friend or sister, family, whatever it is, I think it's really important to keep connected and check in on each other, because really, I mean, we're all in this together, but yet we're alone in isolation, right?
Exactly.
So this is a really tricky spot where if you're not the type of person who generally reaches out, it's even more important to kind of call for help when help is needed.
Exactly. It's sort of like we're alone together.
Yes, we're alone together, and we're all going through our emotional roller coaster at different times, depending on the day, depending on what's going on around us. And I've been really guiding my clients, and I know you probably do the same, is stop listening to the news constantly and looking at these. I'm not saying not to be aware of our protocols and what we need to be doing, right, to stay safe, and others safe. But in terms of constantly looking at the negativity the media is putting out is also not helping in terms of our stress levels. Would you agree?
I agree, because you can become obsessed with the news because you want to know what's going on, and then what ends up happening, your body naturally starts to, your defense mechanisms kick in. So
Right.
your stress levels go up because you're worried about this, happening to you, even though you're following all the rules. People still worry.
Yes.
And if you're older, you tend to worry even more, right?
Yes. So the strategy that I've been practicing it myself, but also encouraging people that are clients that are talking to me, is find something that you enjoy doing and do that instead of, if the worry sets in or if the news is there and you want to kind of get away from it, find something else to do that you really enjoy, where you can almost get lost in it. So for me, this whole idea of cooking has come up, right? For others, I've talked to another lady, dancing and music is in her house, which brings her to that point of calm or joy or whatever that emotional being is for her to stay, centered, right? So I think it's really important to find the strategies that work, because they're different for each person, right?
Exactly. And all of the strategies work that you enjoy. So if you like reading, that's working. Yard work. If you own a yard, it's a good time to be doing your yard work.
Yes.
And if you like dancing, I think dancing is one of the best exercises, because you're not only exercising your body, the music lifts you and it makes you feel happy inside. Music is really important to people everywhere, no matter where you are, because if you listen to music, it'll bring you up, it'll bring you down. So I would say listen to music that brings you up. Dance as an individual, dance as a family, dance online with your friends.
Yep.
Whatever works for you. I would say if you don't listen to the news more than, well, I shouldn't say don't. It's probably better not to listen to the news more than once a day.
Yeah.
And talk to someone every day. Talk to someone online. Check in on your neighbors and your friends. One of the things that we do as a family is we're spread out all over the world practically, and we once a week we get online and check in with each other. And I think that's really important for a number of reasons. It helps keep us together. We get to check up on each other and know that we're all right. Like we have relatives in Vancouver and relatives in France. So in the hot spots, right?
Right.
And so it's really good for us. We don't worry so much. And that's one of the things that creates this stress and has us feeling that we have no control, is because we're constantly worried about the people we care about.
And I think it's the looking forward to that once a week check-in, right? Like it gives you something to look forward to, that you're going to have some great conversations, connect and all of that, but it's something to look forward to, and you can kind of, get excited about that, right? Because otherwise, really, because we can't go anywhere, we can't plan really much of anything. It's about planning the next visit online.
Exactly. And when we have everyone cooped up in the house, like if you have, my neighbor went out, the very first thing he did is he went out and he bought a trampoline, which, was a brilliant idea, because then the kids can get outside, they get some exercise. It's great for their immune systems. Like it's a perfect perfect thing, which was wonderful. If you can't do that, you can always set up a little obstacle course in your house for younger kids to run. And because they need that exercise, and they need to laugh and giggle. And when children laugh and giggle, they make you happy.
Yes, absolutely.
A spontaneous thing.
Yeah, I've been watching videos on YouTube with babies just laughing just from their tummies, and it makes me giggle beyond giggling, right? It's just so funny, and I think that just makes a happy reset.
It does. It does. And the other thing is, when you're family time is very important. I've been talking to families, and they're doing a lot of different things, lots of board games, lots of cooking going on. And I spoke with one family, and there's 7 of them in the house, and they're all adults. And it's because what ended up happening was everybody came home with their significant others when they started. And so they have a house full. And so they've been doing all of those things, but they've also been doing murder mysteries. So they turned their basement into almost like a set, a movie set, and so they've been doing murder mysteries.
Wow, creative! Yeah. I think that's so amazing, right? Is to get all these creative ideas that people have and people are doing. Like yesterday, I saw people were getting married online, and they were sharing this space, right? So I think it's about creativity. It's about feeling empowered by that creativity rather than the self-pity or the wallow. And, yes, these are stressful times. I don't want to, make people think like, oh, we don't get it, or it's not, or I'm not downplaying any of it, but I think we have a choice. And I think the choice is either we can wallow in the stress of it all, or we can find other things that can help us feel more empowered, be more empowered. Perhaps it will, not only raise our vibration, but allow the people that are around us to also have a higher vibration, because we want everybody. And I think this is really key for mental health, is to keep everybody motivated, happy, joyful in whatever capacity we can. Right now, it's crucial, I think.
Oh, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I think that it's important that we remember to, number one, respect boundaries, but also to respect each other and to treat each other with dignity. Yes. Because and even when you're angry, because those things really are kind of glue that no matter what happens later, you can put yourself back together. I have a little exercise to do when you're angry, or when you're in a situation where, like, you need to just take a moment, and you only have one moment, is you just plant your feet and you imagine a stop sign. So it uses stop. So you're imagining the stop sign, and you think, what is the best thing for me to say or do right now? And it's amazing. Your unconscious mind just brings forward the best thing to say or do, and then you just follow through with it.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, just to even take that stop, right? Like, because you can feel the emotions rising, but if you can actually just even say stop, right? Or see that stop sign, it kind of gives you that millisecond of not having that quick reaction, which could potentially be something that you might regret, right?
Yeah. And it's true, and it works extremely well. I had one mother of a teenager once say to me, "You taught me that, and I must have used it 50 times the first day." And she said, "And there's peace in her home."
And no matter what, it's one of those things that, if you do need it 50 times a day, that's great, because you are, you're getting to that point of knowing yourself enough to say, I need this millisecond of, a breather, right? So I think whatever it takes, I think we're all looking for ways to be better and, do whatever we can. And it's okay if you're not having a good day to say, I'm not having a great day today, But I really caution people of not staying in that I'm not having a bad day for a long period of time, right? Try and find other ways to bounce out of it, just because then you don't want to create a space where you're just attracting more and more of the troubles or the worry and the stress. You want to find a way to ease that, right? So
exactly. By easing the stress and the spending time with people, finding ways to sort of be yourself in everything that's going on, then I think that it's important that we do that, because we're going to all come out of this way better.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've just had a couple of comments come in. Fatima here is, it's a great conversation because I think this is an important conversation that we continue to have because we don't know really how long this is going to go or whatever it is. But I think even moving after COVID, I think the conversation is really, really important because we need to support each other, not just while we're in isolation, but just as general, we need to be there for each other. So I think that's really important.
It is definitely.
Yeah. So I really appreciate your time today. I know that, you share a lot of insights and things that you do with your own clients. And I encourage people to go to your website. I know you have some really good resources there. They can look that up. And I'm really grateful that you've committed to being my guest every Thursday so you can bring this light, this insight for people, because I think people are looking for resources. People are looking for somebody who can shed some light. And so I really am very grateful that you will be a guest on our show for Thursdays going forward. And I'll definitely speak to you about next week's topic so we can let people know what we're going to talk about. But I want to say thank you to you. And I just want to talk back to my group here to thank you for joining in. Thank you for everybody that is involved in this Thrive, Not Just Survive. You guys have been sharing the post. You've been really engaging and sending some great comments. And I just hope that whatever it is that you need, whatever you take from it, be present to this moment and allow yourself to find who you are and what you want to do, the impact you want to have on this world, the mission that you are set here for. And if I can be of any assistance, any of my guests are of any assistance, please reach out. This is how we serve each other. And I send you so much love on this Thursday. I will be back tomorrow. Is today Thursday? See, I've lost track of days, as I mentioned, but it is Thursday. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's Friday. I do have another very special guest that I'll be bringing on. So happy Thursday. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy your day and be kind to one another.